Something started happening to me during my early 20s. I didn't know why it was happening, nor did I understand the repercussions of letting that transformation, if you will, letting it take place. I realized that I was becoming different. Not because I had willingly changed habits or anything like that, but even then, somehow it felt natural, very comforting, almost as if it was who I was meant to become. After being a highly extroverted social individual for most of my childhood and teenage years, during my early 20s, for some unknown reason, I started to become the exact opposite. I started becoming reclusive, not in a reclusive like a monk kind of a way, but more of a been there, done that kind of a way. For some reason, I couldn't really find myself taking interest in many of the things I was interested in before. Spending time with friends, socializing, video games, you name it. As my life became quieter than before, what I did pick up an interest in though is observing patterns. Patterns in my life, in lives of those around me, and patterns all around the society that I'm a part of. Over time, that interest somehow turned into an obsession, making me go deep down the rabbit hole of trying to learn why humans do the things that they do. And the conclusion I arrived at after pursuing that obsession to its logical endpoint was not a happy one, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you what the conclusion is later on, but bear with me here for a moment. You see, I was raised in a low to moderate income household, and as one would expect, I was taught to see the world from a specific lens, a specific point of view. And like most people around me, I was indoctrinated into a society, its beliefs, and was given a list of things to do and accomplish throughout life. Go to school, get good grades, get a job, buy a house, get married, have kids, work till you're 60, and then, maybe then, you'll be free enough to do whatever you want in life. And like most kids, I bought into those beliefs, thinking, hey, I want those things too. Who doesn't want a nice job and all the good things that come with it? The problem is, I could never connect the dots no matter how hard I tried. I could never motivate myself to study hard, get good grades, and do many other things that were expected of me at that time. I didn't understand it, but it all felt so pointless for some reason. And I couldn't do that in the first 20 years. I was always a painfully average student and never got marks to make anyone proud. That issue bothered and concerned a lot of people around me, some who were genuinely worried about me, for example, my parents, and some who only pretended to care or thought they knew me enough to give me advice. And I even took some of that advice and tried to make things work, like enrolling for higher education and taking different exams. But at the end of the day, nothing really clicked. I didn't feel any strong pull or a desire towards anything. So sadly, even at the age of 25, I was still struggling to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do in life. It felt like my life had no purpose. The only thing I knew though was what I concluded by noticing patterns and seeing other people live their lives. The conclusion being that most people are clueless about what the fuck is going on in their own lives. Most people are like me, but worse, because they think they've got it all figured out and are capable of offering advice to other people. Not only do they not know how to get what they want, they don't even know why they even want it in the first place. Not only are they not qualified to give advice of any kind to anyone, but they're also probably immune to good advice given by other people. They go to jobs they hate to fund a lifestyle they cannot afford. They're married to people they can barely tolerate. They don't have any meaningful hobbies or interests, and most of their off time is either spent engaging in pointless gossip, bitching about their boss, their partner, or bragging about how hard they worked all week and aren't still being rewarded enough. They were all trying to give me a roadmap to health, wealth, and happiness when they themselves had none of those things. They are living unhappy, unsatisfying lives, but are either powerless or too ignorant about the realities of the world to do anything about it. After coming to this disappointing yet somewhat liberating conclusion, I made a decision, a promise to myself that no matter what happens, I won't let myself turn into one of those people. I just won't. Even if it requires me to have no job or fixed income, even if it means making less money than my peers, even if it means not chasing relationships with other people, even if it means killing my former extroverted self forever and living the life of a loner. As edgy, corny, or silly as it might sound to some of you, that's the first time I felt like my life had a purpose, which was to not be like the people I saw around me. After drifting through the first 24 years of my life, I finally felt like I knew myself, who I am, what I want to do, or what not to do in this case. And lo and behold, within a few years of making that decision, I sort of got everything that I wanted. My partner and I ran a super profitable writing business that gave us steady income. I made enough money that allowed me to fulfill some of my sought after goals, built up a solid network support of friends and acquaintances who had each other's backs. And even though I never went back to being an extrovert, I've never felt that I was living the life of a loner because I also have my cats to keep me company. Wait. Yeah. It's almost as if life rewards you for being honest with... What the hell? Okay, off you go. It's almost as if life rewards you for being honest with yourself. Who would have thunk? Now, I'm not saying all these things to prove how great I am or what a precious little snowflake I am. I'm saying this to convey a message. It's that after one point in your life, you should have a moderately clear understanding of who you are, not people who think you are, who you actually are. Because it's this understanding that will dictate what choices you make in every area of your life. Without a clear who, you can't have a clear why. Why? Why do you desire the things that you do? Why do you make the choices that you make? And this in turn will make life very difficult and invite a lot of unnecessary suffering. This is quite good though. After all, we make choices and then our choices make us. So, why am I talking about all this in a video? Titled How to Future-Proof Yourself for the Next Decade? When I could have just come to the point. I had to say all that because I know that many people are going through or have gone through similar life experiences where they felt like they don't belong, nobody understands them, or there's something inherently wrong with them. This message is for those people. There's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't found your calling yet. I'm also saying this to caution you. If you're in your 20s or early 30s, the time for fucking around with no consequences is gone. And if you're not actively on the path of self-discovery and self-mastery now, life will get very, very difficult for you in the future, both in terms of daily living and having a career. For the purpose of this video, I'm only going to talk about the career part. It's a long video, I know, but you might as well watch it if you've come this far. Look, we're no longer living at a time when you can learn one skill and count on it to coast through life. For better or for worse, we're moving to a future where most menial, repetitive tasks will be phased out due to AI, and a lot of people will be out of jobs. And to counter that, what you need to do is adopt a certain mindset and learn a certain set of skills that make you irreplaceable. To overcome this problem, what you need to do is adopt a growth mindset. Having a growth mindset means you believe that your own potential is not confined by your environment or current circumstances, that you're always open to acquiring new knowledge, learning new skills, and and exploring new avenues to solve problems. And the bigger problems you solve that exist in our society, the better you'll be rewarded for it. At least that's the general gist of it. When you adopt a growth mindset, you no longer tend to feel threatened by changes that are happening around you, nor do you get frustrated or shy away from challenges. You become more adaptable as a person overall. And it is a fact that our ability to embrace change and maintain composure when things don't go as planned is one of the things that separates the winners from the losers. It's survival of the fittest, not the strongest or the smartest, the fittest. And with a growth mindset, you can become exactly that. With this mindset, you can arm yourself with the skills that individuals need to adapt in the face of uncertainty and seize new opportunities. And to cultivate a growth mindset, the number one thing you need to do is unlearn some of the toxic traits of your social conditioning. From the moment we are born, we are shaped by our surroundings and influenced by societal norms and expectations. Our upbringing, education, and interactions with others imprint certain beliefs and behaviors upon us, often unconsciously. You can't avoid it. I mean, no matter how special you think you are, how unique you think you are, to a larger extent, you are a product of your society. We are all a product of our societies. And not all things we learn from our experiences being a part of the society we're in serve us in the best way possible or help us live life to the fullest. Let's not mince words here. Some societies are downright toxic, and as a result, we learn and pick up these toxic thoughts and patterns and behaviors. Learning to unlearn these childhood and social conditioning is crucial if you don't want to keep getting swayed by the tides of life. And one of the first things to unlearn, which also happens to be the hardest one, is the fact that you can indeed live life by not following the trajectory that society has set for you. You can choose to not work at a job you hate. You can choose to not prioritize money over personal freedom. You can choose to not get married if you don't want to have kids or spend money on big houses and fancy cars. You don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. If you want to do those things, that's totally fine, but you don't have to let people pressure you into it. I'm not saying you don't need a plan for your life. You absolutely do, but before executing your plans, what I want you to do is make sure that those plans are yours and have not been put in your head by someone else. The reason the process of unlearning is so important is because it enables us to live life on our own terms, liberated from societal pressures and expectations. It empowers us to question the status quo, challenge outdated beliefs, and forge our own paths. Unlearning also encourages us to seek the truth rather than blindly accepting what has been handed down to us. The process of unlearning social conditioning puts you on the path of self discovery, which is my second point. Investing into self knowledge. Investing into self knowledge means putting conscious effort into understanding who you are and what you want from life. And if you look at people around you, it's not hard to notice patterns that say most people either don't care or don't have the liberty of getting to know their true selves. These people spend their lives in reaction mode, always reacting to changing circumstances while somehow holding on to the idea that they're free. The process of finding out who you are involves going deep into your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and past experiences. This, this process is not easy, and most of the time it comes from a place of deep dissatisfaction or anger. In other words, when your back's against the wall. Like I said, after a certain point in life, you should have a moderately clear understanding of who you are. To do that, you gotta ask yourself some questions and answer them with complete integrity. Complete. Ask yourself about your philosophy, your beliefs on life. What does work mean to you apart from making money? What makes your life worth living? What gives your life meaning or purpose? What does success look like to you? What are the things you like to do and don't like to do? What sparks joy in your eyes? What do you need to live a happy life? Financially, emotionally, spiritually? What's the one thing you desire the most that you're too afraid to tell other people? Answer these questions. You're allowed to be selfish here as long as you're being honest about it. And this is not a one and done process either, because as humans, we're constantly changing and evolving. We garner new interests, pick up new hobbies, go through changes in career, or experience life altering events that make us look at everything from a different perspective. Our priorities change, and so do our desires. What you thought would be a good enough ideal to strive towards in your 20s might not mean anything in your 30s. So every time you stumble or face a roadblock that seems impassable, you have to go through the whole process again to rediscover who you are and what you want from life. Speaking of wanting things from life, you must absolutely embrace the third point I'm about to mention, whether you like it or not. That is, embrace the suck and don't settle for good enough. Most people around you have already made peace with the idea that this is as far as they go. This is just the harsh truth. Since they don't want to really excel at anything, their lives are comfortable. It might not be the best life, but it's good enough for them. What I want you to do is never settle for good enough, because it's a trap. And it's the most common of them all. This trap keeps you stuck to a mediocre, disappointing life where you're robbed of ever getting the chance of reaching your highest potential. Disappointment is the price a man pays for mediocrity, but to him, disappointment comes disguised as just another day. But that disappointment doesn't make itself immediately obvious. To us, that disappointment looks like just another day when we don't have the motivation to get out of bed, where we feel constantly tired or disinterested in our work, where we have this persistent sense of wasting our life away one day at a time. But you can't really point a finger at it and say, this is the reason I feel that way. Disappointment comes to us disguised as just another day where we have this underlying lack of dread and a lack of purpose. And most people experience this because they haven't really found anything that's worth doing. They haven't put in the work to discover their passion or their purpose. For you to become more than good enough and future proof, you need to start by taking control of your thoughts. When doubt and disappointment linger, shifting your perspective about yourself can change the course of your life. So start learning new skills and embrace the suck. When you start learning a new skill, you're going to suck at it. And during that time, it's normal to struggle and feel like quitting. But if you can control your thoughts and see the suck as something that you'll eventually overcome, you can push through your initial feelings of frustration and disappointment. Even if you feel like you're not doing well now, consistent practice will only make you better, not worse. Once upon a time, I sucked at writing. I sucked at video editing. And I was scared shitless to come in front of the camera, let alone ramble on and on like I'm doing now. I got confident at these things by practicing. More importantly, practicing with intention and never cutting corners by ignoring something that feels difficult or way out of reach. By putting in the effort and maintaining a positive mindset, you can overcome these challenges that arise out of feeling frustrated, especially when you've already done the inner work and found something meaningful to pursue. And speaking of something meaningful to pursue, my fourth point is exactly this. Find something meaningful to pursue. There's a saying that goes something like this: if you want to be the best, find something to do that feels like play to you but work to others. And I can somewhat get behind that statement. I know where it's coming from. But the thing is, at least in my experience, work is work and play is play. I've tried turning play to work before, and after a certain point, it just started feeling like more work. So I found something else to play with. Do something that feels like play to you. Absolutely. I agree with that. Because it's that type of work that will help bring meaning into your life and keep you going through the tough times when you inevitably feel like giving up. But at the same time, don't pick something that feels too easy, because if something is too easy for you, then it's probably too easy for lots of other people too. When you're just beginning your journey, know that if there's something you can do effortlessly, others can probably too. What do I mean by that? That means stay away from doing stuff that either feels too easy or you don't feel like putting enough effort into getting better at it. I'll say that again. Stay away from stuff that either feels too easy or you don't feel like putting enough effort into getting better at it. If you want to become a graphics designer, let's say, invest your energy into actually learning how to use Illustrator and Photoshop. If you want to become an animator, learn the fundamentals of After Effects. Maybe even dive deep into Cinema 4D or Blender to create 3D models. If you want to become a copywriter, read more books and learn from the greats. Don't just blindly trust your current skills and expect it to carry you throughout your life. If you want to become a travel filmmaker, stop shooting on your crappy phone and invest in a good camera. Learn cinematography, video editing, color grading, sound design, and so on. None of these things are easy, but there's a lot of depth that you can go into and explore to attain mastery over your craft. Learn some real god dang skills, as boomers would say. Stop dancing in front of cameras for TikTok or fucking lip syncing to other people's songs or words. Those are not skills, they're a fad. Some people are going to make money from them, but I don't think that'll be for too long. Also, if you're going to find a new hobby or skill that you want to get exceptionally good at, find something you can do without needing an extrinsic reward or validation. I know this sounds kind of counterintuitive, but hear me out. Even though your ultimate goal might be to monetize this hobby and make a business or career out of it, you must first find something that you truly enjoy doing. Money and praise are good things as they signal that you're on the right path. But with the wrong skill or hobby later down the road, you might discover that this doesn't really work for you. Take this scenario for instance. Let's say you're a coder. You're not too good, but you're not too bad either. You're passionate about coding, but haven't quite made the strides yet to make money from it. So, what happens is one day a friend of yours comes along and says, "Hey, you know what? I managed to make $5,000 from copywriting last month. How awesome is that? It's easy work for me." So, when you, a person who makes no money from their hobby, hear that your friend makes $5,000 from copywriting, I can bet that you'll be tempted to do what your friend is doing. Your gut feeling might tell you that you should stick to coding because that's what you're passionate about, but you'll choose to ignore it. And you might even get better at copywriting than you are in coding and make more money than your friend in a couple of years. But there's a chance that one day you realize that you don't enjoy it at all. Even though the money is good, you you miss the immersion and challenge that coding gave you on a daily basis. So now you either have to live your life as a copywriter who makes money or go back to coding and start from scratch again. So whenever you're feeling the temptation to do something you normally wouldn't or feel kind of icky, it's possible that you're thinking about being someone who you're not, that you're probably going against your wants, desires, ethics, and principles, prioritizing shortcuts or chasing trends that aren't for you. Make sense? And that brings me to my fifth point, which is believing that life is all about competition. The journey to self fulfillment and success is a tough one, but it's not something you have to undertake alone. On your journey, you'll find many other travelers who are walking the same path as you. And making friends with them is only a matter of reaching out and asking a few genuine questions to satisfy your natural curiosity. I say natural curiosity because genuine friendships can't be formed if you're faking curiosity just to get some information out of people. If you're able to forge real connections with real people, you'll see a whole new world of opportunities open up. Through collaboration, you'll be able to do things that were previously impossible. If you're a coder and you make friends with someone who's into copywriting, you now have the ability to launch a custom website with very persuasive text. If you and your copywriter friend, the both of you, make a connection with a graphics designer, you'll then be able to launch a custom coded website like the one we have that not only has good text but looks amazing too. And if the three of you then collaborate with a marketer who knows how to run ads and sign up clients, there you go. You now have a fully functional web design business that has the potential to earn thousands of dollars every month. And there you go. You just went from being a freelance coder who used to spend time in their mom's basement to now being a co-owner of a 6 or 7 figure company. This is the power of networking. This is how you form your own tribe, so to speak. The future will be all about collaboration, and people who can do that consistently will most definitely come out on top. Alone, we go fast. Together, we go far. So that's about it. These are the 5 things you gotta do to future proof yourself for the next decade. Or is it? Look, before ending this video, I'm gonna give you a bitter pill to swallow. The truth is, there's no such thing as irreplaceable or future proof. If anybody tries to convince you otherwise, they're probably trying to sell you something. Everybody is replaceable, even doctors and lawyers, and people in other professions that are widely considered to be evergreen. If not by AI, then they're definitely replaceable by other doctors and lawyers if they don't keep upping their skills. So if you're someone who has a rigid mindset, that is someone who doesn't care about upskilling, self-improvement, or self-education, no matter which line of work you're in, you're likely going to be replaced sooner or later. Doesn't matter if it's by AI or a human who's just better than you. While it's true that nobody is really irreplaceable in the literal sense, you can come close to being one by investing into self education. But here's the catch: in this day and age, learning one skill and investing all your time and energy into improving that said skill is not enough. Today, it's not like how it was 100 or 200 years ago when most communities were self sufficient and individuals typically focused on a specific trade or craft throughout their life. Learning one skill such as farming, blacksmithing, or carpentry provided the means to earn a livelihood, and this trend continued for generations. And let's face it, most of us don't work in factories now either. Today, you can't expect to be just good at one skill with the hope that it sustains you for life. Now you have to be good at multiple things that could be both complementary or antagonistic towards each other. So, what are complementary and antagonistic skills? Let's say you're a designer who designs logos mostly, and you want to advance your career and make more money. For you, complementary skills would be learning about other traditionally creative tasks like 3D logo design, logo animation, video editing, sound design. When you learn all these complementary skills, you can then bundle everything up and offer a service like, say, cinematic logo animation, where it has all these components of a regular logo but suited for a different platform. This way, you not only earn more money, but show your client your expertise on video production. Similarly, if you're a copywriter, you could stand to benefit from learning complementary skills like basic WordPress management, on page SEO, funnels, creating media for Facebook ads. Stack these skills together, and you're no longer just a copywriter. You're a marketer who brings in traffic and turns leads into paying customers. See how complementary skills work? These skills are called complementary skills because, well, they complement one another. For a creative person who's in the creative industry, learning more creative work is easy because there's less mental resistance and it's fun, to be honest. What you're essentially doing here is offering an all in one service to a client, a package which says, hey, you hire me and I'll get the job done, and make sure that you don't have to hire anyone else. The problem, however, occurs when it comes to learning antagonistic skills. So, what are antagonist skills? Let's say, for example, we have an organization and we have a website that's a visual representation of the said organization. This website, like others, has two major components. On the front end, you have the media, the creative stuff like the web copy, the page designs, UI, UX, and other stuff. And on the back end, you have the technical stuff, the code that binds everything together. Both components here are equally useful because without an attractive front end, the visitors won't stick around. And without a robust back end, navigating the website will be a pain in the ass or even impossible. But here's the thing: leaving philosophical perspectives aside, design and code are kind of supposed to be antagonistic to each other. People who are usually into design are usually not the types who are into coding, and vice versa. At least that's what I've observed. To become truly high value and future proof, you need to learn both coding and design, two skills that are seemingly polar opposite to each other. You don't need to be equally good at both because that's asking too much, honestly. But if you're a designer, knowing the limitations or flaws in coding will help you understand to what extent your design can be implemented to keep the website running at its maximum speed. And if you're an IT guy who also has knowledge on design, you can maybe offer more constructive feedback to the design guys on how to better tweak or optimize their designs so that's easier on the coders to implement. Antagonistic skills refer to acquiring knowledge and abilities that may seem contradictory or unrelated at first glance, but can complement and enhance each other in unexpected ways. By learning antagonistic skills, you gain a broader skill set that allows you to change or adapt to changing circumstances and explore diverse career opportunities. Also, it boosts your critical thinking skills, creativity, and the ability to connect concepts that seem completely unrelated, which ultimately leads to innovative solutions that most specialists would overlook. You'd be able to connect the dots that most people don't even know exist. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. The mindset of adaptability and curiosity is an asset in an ever-changing world where AI seems to be the dominant force that's causing all these changes. The future will not belong to those who go deep and specialize. It'll belong to those who go wide, those who stack skills on top of each other and consistently put their offering in front of the highest paying customers. By combining multiple monetizable skills together, you open the doors to solving seemingly impossible problems and making big money. You become that guy or that girl to whom everyone comes for very specific advice. Even something as this video, which looks rather simple to most people, is the product of stacking multiple skills, each of which are monetizable in and of themselves. To make one video, I have to write a detailed script first and foremost, then record myself talking about the script, which involves two skills: speaking confidently and knowing how to use a camera. Then I cut the video to remove fluff and edit it in a way that makes this video interesting. Then I finally put everything together and make things better using sound design. And this is just something that's going on the surface of content creation. It's not that I learned this stuff one fine day and decided to just roll with it. Now, after hearing all this, you might wonder what makes me high value, or how can I be sure that I'll still be relevant in the last decade? Look, I don't know, man. I don't know what the world is gonna look like in 10 years. What I know is that it won't be like it is today. And for that, I'm committed to keep improving myself and see where that takes me. Yep, that's about it. Those were a lot of words that I just said. Hope that meant something to you. If it did, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to send it to a friend if you think it's helpful. I appreciate you all for watching till the end. I really do. See ya.